We are so privileged to have with us tonight State Senator David Ford from Hartford City. Senator Ford was first elected to the Indiana Senate in 1994 and was recently re-elected to serve a third term. He served in many capacities since he's been on the State Senate, on many committees. Prior to his being on the State Senate, he served for a period of time as the prosecuting attorney in Blackford County. He's recently been mentioned as a probable Republican candidate for lieutenant governor in the year 2004. He's devoted a great deal of time to the subject of leadership. He has served the peoples of Indiana and served them faithfully and served them well for a good number of years. And we are so happy and privileged to have him with us here tonight. Would you stand to your feet, please, and help me to welcome to this pulpit State Senator David Ford.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. That enthusiasm is overwhelming. That's really fantastic what you're doing here with all the young people. It's so great to see you all from all over Indiana, and my friends and neighbors from Hartford City, Reverend Vanderhoff and his family here. I just live about a block away from them, and it's a really great relationship. So it's really a privilege for me to be here this evening with you and just say a few words. Reverend Jordan asked me to say a few words about the relationship of morality and the church's influence on government, because what you do in this church is so important. What you do when you go outside of here is very important too. I take a lot of my philosophy, I guess, about why I'm involved in government and why I do what I do from the 12th chapter of Romans. I just like to read it to you because it kind of sums up why I think it's so important to be involved with the world and to bring your message to them. It says, just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we who are many form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to us. If a man's gift is proselytizing, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve. If it is teaching, let him teach. If it is encouraging, let him encourage. If it is contributing to the needs of others, let him give generously. If it is leadership, let him govern diligently. If it is showing mercy, let him do it cheerfully. But right there we see that leadership for others is just a part of our biblical charge. And this country is based on those kinds of concepts. Just one of the concepts I'd like to share with you folks tonight, because it is, again, important to me, is that this country is founded, on something different that you kind of find in this philosophy that we never found before in the world. Before 1776, the philosophy of government was that God gave power to kings, and then kings treated people however they wanted to do that. In 1776, a fellow by the name of Thomas Jefferson wrote some words. You've heard part of them, but you never probably thought about the second part very much. He said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That's the next part I want you to pay attention to. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. What Thomas Jefferson did in that sentence was take history in terms of our reference to God and country and turn it upside down. No longer did power be thought to come from God to kings and from kings to people, but now it comes, as we know, from God to the people and the people to the government. And that is your involvement in government. And then it's important to get involved. It's important to be a leader. And leadership involves a number of things. But first of all, it involves a vision. It involves being able to look ahead, to be able to believe the things that you don't see. And that's where I think Christians, have a real advantage. We do believe. A lot of people out there don't believe in things they don't see. But other than the creation that God made in the first 7 days, everything else that's here is because not only did God believe, but because some person believed because they saw it. The building we're standing in, the clothes you're wearing, the organizations you belong to are because somebody had vision. Proverbs says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And then we have to communicate that. It's not enough to keep the light under a basket. There's no leadership unless you believe in your vision. The Gospels are about communications. Christ's message is about communications. He painted very vividly and with a broad brush. He used the parables. He gave that message to us to understand. And we need to do the same thing as we talk to the people around us. We also need to take action. This is another favorite of mine in James 2:17. It says, "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such a faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, 'Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it?" In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. So you need the vision, you need the communication, you need the action, you need to bring others along. Jesus did that. Went out and recruited people to keep his message going. That's what leadership is about. That's what vision is about. Now, I know some of you are sitting here and saying, well, yeah, but gosh, I'm in the 9th grade in high school. What am I going to do about that? I haven't received the calling that these wonderful gentlemen have received. They could each, I'm sure, talk to you about their own personal calling, but let me tell you what that means for me. How many of you in here have had a situation sometime in your life when you were ready to go out the door in the morning and Mom said, it sure would be nice if somebody cleaned their room? And you thought, yeah, sure would. I sure hope that gets done before I get home. Bye, Mom. Or she says, sure would be nice if somebody does the dishes. You think, yeah, those things are piling up and I need a clean one. I wonder who she's talking about. And then at some point it occurs to you, oh my goodness, she's talking about me. That's my calling to participate. Well, the Lord does the same thing. When you hear that message on TV or you hear somebody talking about something and you say, why doesn't somebody do something about this? That's the Lord's calling. I don't know how it came to everybody else, but he didn't open the clouds and shine a sunbeam down on me. I didn't see a burning bush. No angel showed up at the foot of my bed. I got my calling when I felt it twist right in here. That's a calling. When you feel that inside you and you say, somebody ought to do something about this, that's God's way of saying, just like your mother said, something ought to be done. And you have to ask yourself, not why doesn't somebody do something, but what shall I do? And you folks are uniquely prepared and trained to do that because you have the right values. You have the right morals. You have the right guiding principles to help bring the greatest country in the world along and keep it going and not lose those sorts of things that Thomas Jefferson and our forefathers brought about for us. I just like to leave you with one little poem that's a favorite of mine. You can use this when you go home. It's very short. It just says, on the morn when you were born, you opened wide and cried, and the world rejoiced. Live each day in such a way that when you die, the world will cry, and you will rejoice. Thank you.